And there are so many more kinds of things. It would be reactionary. You would react. And there are so many different kinds of reactions when you open the door and you see another reality. The last thing that you think is that it's yours. And that is the first thing that it is, dear ones. You think it's somewhere else and someplace else or something else. And those of you who were educated in fear think that anything that isn't what you learned is evil. And so there is fear there. Imagine meeting and holding the Creator's hand and eyes in a way you never had before, and some would run the other way and say it's evil. And instead, it is you. It is the essence of you. It is your soul that you are starting to come into contact with. This is the circle of 12. This is what we teach. The channeling of today, the channeling of last week, talk about an increased perception of awareness of humanity, specifically spiritual. We can use that word spiritual all we want to, and yet some human beings hear the word and say, I'm not interested. Not understanding that spiritual is the life's blood of everything you are. It is not apart from your reality. It is your reality. There are some humans who don't even believe in the soul. So they have denied the most precious thing a human being can have or exist in or believe in or work with. Unfortunately, that is the way of it for so many who have been trained in what they've been trained in and don't want to look around. And so we have that issue, the elephant under the table that we started with a week ago and then continued with just a little while ago, that there will be those who will run the other way. When you talk about color in a black and white world. Dear ones, this circle of 12, this healing time is about the healing of all things physical, mental, and spiritual. Done in a way that is so different and so unusual to so many in this culture. And that way that we speak of is cognizing who you are and your consciousness and your past and seeing a bigger picture and realizing that what you think you have before you, which you want to correct, is not a linear correction. It's a love correction. Again, that the physical things that you come here to heal and to work with often get healed as a byproduct of the real issue. Opening the door to a bigger truth. Not another religion, a bigger truth. Finding color in a black and white world. And so the journey is always the same. And that journey is across the bridge. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, and there are always those, and even those who perhaps have joined only a few times, the explanation, yet again, a simple one. The bridge represents, that is a connection between the fully known, understood, and realizable to the unknown. And in that, there is often an issue. Not for all of you. I know who you are listening. It doesn't matter when you listen. I've said that before. I know who is listening. We all do. That is the way of it in a multi-dimensional setting. that creative source that you know about, that you call spirit, and you call God, that creative source, in a multidimensional way, is able to hear a billion prayers all at once, to hold a billion hands all at once, 7 billion hands all at once, to call your name personally to all of you all at once. That's the beauty of something you cannot understand. And so in that alone, it tells you so much that is there that might be fearful. To some, again, moving into the unknown is difficult, and for some, it's beautiful, and there is no veil, there is no mist. In fact, to some, the bridge is very short. We know who's listening. But for the vast majority of those of you who are now coming to the realization of what's going on here, it's new. It's new enough that you want more of it. Let's do some healing today. Let's revisit some things today that we haven't done in a little while. Let's get a healing going, a real physical healing, and let's have healers do it. I want to introduce you yet again to this bridge. When you cross the bridge, you're crossing into that land, if you want to call it that place, that perception that humans have not visited in mass before, and now you can. And now you can is not a rule that existed. It's an awareness that you've created that has changed the posture of your reality and the allowance of your mind to say, I can do this. It makes sense. You're going to move into that which you own, which you have not realized before, and that is that multidimensional area of your own soul. Across the bridge, that's where it is. Kryon, why is it always across the bridge? Why isn't it with us? If it's always with us, why can't we just have it? And the answer is, you are learning exactly that. But you've got to have the baby steps before. It's got to be somewhere else. You go there, you understand it, you realize it, there's no fear, you bring it back to yourself, and you live in both worlds. That is shamanship. It's mastery, and you are the masters who are studying it. Come with me. There's a bridge. I want you to cross it with me right now. We're going to go through the mist together. Take my hand. Take those hands of the others who are here. Come on. Come closer. Move across that bridge and see whatever you wish to see. For those who have trouble visualizing, just feel. I want you to understand how much love there is here. For those who have a hard time visualizing, can you feel the love of someone who has loved you so much, and understand that's a millionfold with the creative source, and it's pouring at you? And so we just ask you to feel it. You don't have to visualize anything if you don't choose to. Just feel how much love there is. Where you sit, for you. Your name goes here, for you. For those who wish to visualize the theater, go through the portal and come to the theater just as you always have. The theater is one in the round, as we've said before. It is sunken, an amphitheater-like audience around it, and one chair in the middle. For those of you who are linear, it's odd, is it not, that you can sit into one chair without the stage rotating, and yet everyone can see your face. That's the beauty of being in this perception of your soul, which has no linear rules at all. Now, we haven't got to that place yet, but if I ask you to fly to the chair, some of you have no trouble at all. But we keep it linear so that you will be comfortable and you'll understand the metaphors that are being presented, and you will be part of this because you can be, and it's not that far out for some. You are within that which is your soul, and that means, dear ones, that your soul is the couch right now that is not your body. Your soul is infinite. There is no beginning, no end. There was no creation of your soul. It always was, because it is part of that which you call God. There is no end to your soul, for it is part of the circle of 12, that which will go forever, that which is God. You are in that space where your name is sung in light as the human that you are. Come on stage. Go down into the audience. Oh, they know you're here because they're already sat. There's a little buzz that's going on in that audience because they know you're arrived. Each one of you with your own theater, it doesn't matter how many of you are listening and how many of you listen in the future. This is your time. Your name is in the chair. There's a buzz in the audience. There's even a little applause because they know who's arrived. You are the one of the day because they know what is possible next and they know what can happen next. And it's exciting. Sit in the chair, dear one. Go up and just sit in the chair. Do you understand that this audience knows you very well? In this multidimensional state, souls know each other very well. They're intertwined with each other in a way we've told you before, which is so difficult for you to ever imagine because it's so singular when you're walking the earth in two legs and one face, and it's so multiple when you're here. Part of them is you and part of you is them. And because of that, what's going to happen next, the potential of what's going to happen next is profound. Let's get back to healing. All of those in the audience are master healers. They've come from all over, dear ones. They've come from all kinds of time, dear ones. They are the master healers. On this planet, off this planet, they know your soul. They know you and your light. They know why you came. And each one as a master healer is now going to do something. The first thing they're going to do is stand up. You remain seated. Standing is honor. They stand before you. Now you might say, well, what have I done to deserve this standing? And the answer is this: a portion of this is ceremonial. That the deserving is in the ceremony where the seated one receives and the standing ones give. That's part of it. And the other part is they know who you are. They know what you've gone through, and they also know what kind of time frame has arrived on this planet that you're a part of, not by accident. The link that we talked about before, you are it. They also know of the frailties of a human that lives such a short life. They also know of the things that can happen to a human, the aches, the pains, the fears, the anxieties, the disease. They're healers, dear ones. Do you understand what's going to happen next? Each one of them is going to outstretch their hands, and they're going to look at you. And they're going to send healing energy, their specialty, to your body right now. Oh, if you are tuned in to this reality of what is going on right now for you, you're going to know it. And you're going to get the chills, and you're going to feel that this is very, very, very real. They are here. They are healing with you. They are sending energy to you and your cells of your body. All of the multidimensional ones, all the linear ones, all the diseased ones, all of the things in consciousness of those perhaps you cannot forgive is washed away literally in a soup of waste that goes someplace you can't get to. In other words, welcome to the abilities of those who are with you right now, who will heal your body. And that's why you came. This is the circle of 12, dear ones. Don't go away. I want you to sit and feel this. I want you to sit and enjoy this as they outstretch their hands, some of them singing, some of them humming, some of them singing your name. And you might again say, can I receive? Can I deserve this? And the answer is yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. Oh, bask in this moment. Stay. Stay. And so it is.
And here I'm now going to burn you. And the oak says, we keep forgetting that people individuate. We don't. You can't cut down oak. You can only cut down an oak. But I'm simply part of oak. So you can't really hurt oak by cutting me down. In fact, I get to tell oak what it's like inside your house because I'm going to go in there. So that would be a diva, right? Who's talking to me about that level of interconnection. I visited a friend one day. She yelled down, "I'll be ready soon." New book on the coffee table. So I looked at it. Coffee table herbals, they're usually not very good, but this one had the botanical names of the plants. I was impressed. And it had a recipe for a third eye-opening tincture. And we were going to visit yet another friend. So I grabbed the book and brought it along. I said, why don't we make this third eye-opening tincture? And there's 3 ingredients, and each one of us will take one of these plants and prepare that part of it, and then we'll put them together and take it. And so we did. And sat in a room, all glass, on a rainy day in the Catskills. And at the end of the allotted time, we'd given ourselves an hour, we said, what did you see? What happened? And I said, I saw flames of different intensities and different colors and different heights and different shapes in the plants. And one of the other women said, that's so weird. Really? You saw flames? I said, yeah. Why is it weird? She said, I saw like, like dandelion heads, but in colors and kind of pulsing and moving around. And the third woman said, that's so interesting that you two saw that. And of course, she saw something absolutely different. So that's more the fairies, which we were individually giving definition and shape and color to in our own minds. What you really want to avoid is projection. And I would say that about 99% of the people who are supposedly talking to plants are projecting their own mind stuff onto the plants and then acting like the plants are telling them that. So if it makes sense to you, it's probably not the plants because they're quite different from you. Right. I'm sure you have found that in your channeling.
Indeed. In fact, I talk about it all the time, and that fact that unless you're me, you have no idea the grandness of what comes through me. And so that's always something in trance. Okay, I want to know, and people have asked me, do all gardens have the attribute of fairies and divas? I've actually seen one in my life, but only one. But so I know it's real. It was in New Zealand when I did. I want to know if all gardens have the attributes of fairies and divas.
They do, absolutely, because these are energies of plants, and so anywhere there are plants, but it doesn't have to be a garden. It can be in a little square around a tree in a city. And there's going to be fairies there. And divas, as we've said, are the larger things. So if there's a linden tree, then the linden diva, which deals with all basswood trees, all linden trees, all tillias all over the world, will, of course, also be present to you. But what's present right now is a huge amount of things. Are you tuned to them? Are you receiving them? I don't own a television. So I'm not tuned to any of that. I'll never receive it. You have to decide what you're going to put on your screen, what you're going to spend your time opening to and being sensitive to.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give for someone who wants to tune in to Gaia, to the plants, and someone may have never done it in their lives before? Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for them?
Monica, it is so simple. All you have to do is choose one plant. It can be a plant in a pot if it needs to be, better if it's actually in dirt. And you're going to spend 10 minutes every day with that plant. And all you have to do is breathe. Now, what happens when we breathe? There goes carbon dioxide out of my body, right? We're not talking theoretical or virtual. We're talking actual carbon and oxygen atoms connected to make carbon dioxide. One carbon, two oxygen are actually leaving my body, and they're literally, really being taken in by the plant. And the plant is then going to exhale oxygen, because it's going to take that one carbon, two oxygen, and take one oxygen away, because it wants carbon monoxide to start the process of photosynthesis. This is why plants love to grow by the roadside, because there's lots of carbon monoxide there. That oxygen that it doesn't need comes back out of the plant, and I'm going to breathe it in. This cycle of exchange between people and plants goes on with every breath that you've taken in your life, and will continue with every breath you've taken in your life. If you take 10 minutes a day to sit with that process, well, I'm sure you've heard that every cell in your body is replaced in 7 years. But what most people don't know is that every atom in their body is replaced in 7 days. So if you consciously exchange atoms with the plant, within a week, you are a plant.
That is one of the most beautiful things I've heard.
I know. I just love that. I want to play that over and over. That's very profound. Tell us about, before we have to say goodbye, herbal remedies. I know you're famous for so many things, but this is one of your specialties.
Herbal remedies, yeah. I see that there are 3 ways of looking at healing, and that also means 3 ways of looking at herbs and herbal medicine. The scientific tradition is the one that most of us are most familiar with, and the scientific tradition measures and fixes. It looks for active ingredients, and you were talking about pharmacognosy, like to be cognizant. Cognosy is to know. So pharmacognosy is to know the plants, the knowing of the plants. And pharmacists used to have to pass a pharmacognosy exam in which they were shown small samples of dried plants, and they had to recognize them. So it really was pharmacognosy, being able to identify the plant through the smell and the taste without so much using your eyes to do that. So what happened to herbal medicine in the scientific tradition is it's become pharmacy. It's become drugs, right? Think of Dr. Wu in China, who was told by Artemisia annua that they would change the world together. And Dr. Wu spent 30 years with this one plant, taking it apart piece by piece by piece until she found artemisinin, for which she received a Nobel Prize, because artemisinin destroys malaria. Herbalists, so far as I've ever known any herbalist who's gone to malaria-ridden areas, have always taken Artemisia annua. But Dr. Wu spent the 30 years to make it into a drug. The heroic tradition is what most people think of as alternative medicine. And the heroic tradition doesn't measure and fix, it cleanses and balances, which sounds pretty good until you get right down to it. And I'd like you to experience balance. So if you'll experience balance with me by breathing in and holding your breath. Are you going to breathe out? Of course you are. You're going to breathe out because you want to stay alive, because balance is the step that immediately precedes death. So far as we know, it all started with the Big Bang. And the entire matrix of time and space was filled with hydrogen atoms. And there we would still be, in balance. Except that there was a perturbation. And that perturbation moved the hydrogen and started it swirling and spiraling. Caused suns to appear and suns to explode. Nuclear furnaces to make other elements. And eventually dust clouds to form. And planets to form out of those dust clouds, including the one we're living on. E.O. Wilson, considered to be smarter than Einstein, says you're looking for life on other planets, you'll never find it on a planet in balance. There's life on this planet because we were hit by a big chunk of something and our axis was tilted. Dynamic disequilibrium is the name of the game, not balance. And cleansing is code for damage and destroy. We live on a planet in which nothing is dirty and nothing is toxic. I eat you and you eat me. We are all one. As soon as we start to cleanse, we're making war. The wise woman tradition nourishes the wholeness of the unique individual. So in the scientific tradition, herbs become drugs. In the heroic tradition, herbs are faux drugs. They get powdered, they get put in capsules, they get made into tinctures with high-gram alcohol. In the wise woman tradition, herbs are used to nourish the wholeness of the unique individual. One of the best ideas that I've ever had is to drink nourishing herbal infusions. Very simple. You take a nourishing herb like stinging nettle. It's dried. You weigh out 1 ounce, put it into a quart jar, fill the jar to the top with boiling water, put a lid on it, let it steep overnight, 4 to 10 hours. Strain it, refrigerate it, drink it. 8-year-old asked me the other day, how old are you? I said, I'm 75. She said, no, you're not. You're 35. That's stinging nettle.
Beautiful.
You have, I know, a course that you teach, and many of them actually. And there's one, now I've been reading my notes, a 7 Medicines video course. Tell us what that is about. People are going to want to go to your site. Your site is listed on our site here in the chat room, so people already know how to get there. What is there that perhaps that they can enjoy?
Well, I say that during my life I've had 3 good ideas. And the best of those ideas is nourishing herbal infusions. Start drinking nourishing herbal infusion, your whole life will change. Mm-hmm. And the second good idea is the 3 traditions of healing, which we've just talked about. Mm-hmm. And then the third good idea is the 7 medicines. And my most recent book, Abundantly Well, goes into depth on these 7 medicines. And there's also at the wisewomanschool.com a companion course to Abundantly Well, which is about these 7 medicines. The first medicine is serenity medicine. After serenity medicine, we go to story medicine. Story medicine might be a diagnosis, but it's also about what do we believe? The third medicine is mind medicine. Mind medicine is the shaman's playground, and it is as broad and as exciting as the human imagination. It includes prayer and homeopathy and Reiki and orgone machines and you name it. Energy medicine, the placebo effect, so many things that we have in mind medicine. And then lifestyle medicine. right? It's estimated that 80% of all chronic diseases would be prevented with lifestyle medicine. So these four medicines, serenity medicine, story medicine, mind medicine, and lifestyle medicine, I call foundation medicines. These are the medicines that keep you strong and healthy, that give you that abundant wellness that we're looking for. Then there's a gap. What's a gap? Gap is a dangerous place. And it says, stop, pay attention here. On the other side of the gap are the three medicines that we use if we need them, but they're always going to injure our health. The foundational medicines build health. The medicines on the other side of the gap injure health. Alternative medicine, pharmaceutical medicine, and deep medicine. And people say, why are you saying that alternative medicine injures your health? Isn't herbal medicine part of that? I said, yeah. Yeah. And if you're taking an herb in a capsule, it's probably going to hurt you. It's not just a free ride. So we want to really understand the dangers, not just the dangers of drugs, not just the dangers of surgery. And when we get into deep medicine, we come back around that we need to understand those three traditions, because deep medicine in the scientific tradition is going to be what? Surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. Right? Deep medicine in the heroic tradition is going to be the classic poke, puke, and purge. All right? Bloodletting, cleanses. Right? Nothing dirty on this planet. It's all food. And deep medicine in the wise woman tradition, because we want to nourish the wholeness of the unique individual, is entheogens, the plants that help us go deep, see the truth, that we are all one, it is all one. You are perfect, exactly as you are right now. And that doesn't mean you can't change.
Susan,
blessings are everywhere around you.
This is awesome. This is just awesome. Thank you. You are truly a sage. And speaking like one, the balance that you had, there's so much to talk about. Just watching you work, and it's so obvious. I've been around the world. I have met the shamans. I've been with those, and you truly represent that group. So thank you so much. We are